All right, so welcome everybody to day one, session number 2 of ODW. That's Ortus Developer Week 2017. It's very exciting to know that this has been going on. This is our 6th year, so very excited for our 6th year. Just remember to follow us on Twitter at Ortus Solutions, and the hashtag is ODW2017. All right, so what is ODW? Quick little brief introduction before our session today. It is a free week-long online conference, okay, led by Ortus team and several community members. Today we have George Murphy, great community advocate, showcasing very cool stuff that you can do with CommandBox. All sessions are recorded. I just posted Eric's session for today and this morning. We will update the website once a day at the end of the day, so you will find all the information at the end of the day at ortusolutions.com/ODW, and most of our slides will be uploaded eventually to slideshare.net. So at least you can have all these goodies available to you. Why do we do Ortus Developer Week? We've been doing it for 6 years now. We are firm believers in education. We want to offer more free training as much as we can here at Ortus, very developer focused. This week is for developers. We want to expose tips, tricks, products, new products, roadmaps, and so forth. So today we're showing you very cool stuff. George will show you how to actually run CommandBox as a Windows service, even on thumb drives. So very, very cool stuff. And of course, we want more of the community to be involved here, and so we can all grow together. Okay. We are professional open source. This is how Ortus Solutions operates. This is how we can maintain all the stack of boxes flowing: training, support, mentoring, architecture, design, legacy migrations, web development, and of course, mariachi singing is included. You can also support our open source initiatives by becoming a Patreon. You can help us maintain forgebox.io, maintain the downloads for CommandBox, etc. So as little as $10 a month, you can just go to patreon.com/Ortus Solutions, and you can be part of this adventure with us. With that said, this is our day one, so November 6th, and we are on the second slot, 11 a.m. Pacific, all the way to Europe Central. And we'll have that presentation coming up shortly. Two announcements: CF Summit, RESTful Services Bootcamp. Myself and Brad Wood are going to be leading a RESTful Services Bootcamp before CF Summit. There's a discount link there on the screen, ODW2017. It is limited seating because we always do this in a suite. So we have a full suite, like a whole floor for us, which is great. You know, it's more relaxed, that we can lounge and do kind of fun stuff. So limited seating, that's going on next week, actually. And of course, our yearly conference, Into the Box, will be happening next year, April 25th to the 27th, here in lovely Houston, Texas. I promise no floods will be available for you. But there are the links. Registration is open, and we're actually called for speakers. It's still open, so if you want to speak and you want your own mariachi hat, you can still get it. Just go to intothebox.org and submit your papers. All right, with that said, enough of the intro. So I'm going to switch it up to George. So you can take it away, George.
Okay, thank you, Luis. Good to be here. Good to be taking part in another Ortus Developer Week. Looking forward to showing you guys what I have. You want to continue? Let's see. Share screen. There we go. Share screen. Can you guys see my screen okay? Thumbs up if you do. I assume that's a thumbs up. Okay.
I see it.
All right, great.
It's not full screened. I think it might be on presenter mode, or maybe it's just not presenting.
Yeah, I haven't switched to it yet, but here we go. All right, so I switched over to it, and let me go backwards a little bit.
I actually can't see it, George.
Really?
I just says George Murphy has started screen sharing. Oh, there we go. Now
I can see it. I think it might be lagging.
Oh, okay. Anyway, what I'm going to talk about today is CommandBox as a Windows service. And for those of you who don't know or haven't used CommandBox, you're missing out on a great product. I strongly urge that you go to ortussolutions.com and download it and take a look at it, because I think it's the most important introduction in the Cold Fusion world since Cold Fusion MX. And I sincerely mean that. It's truly changed how I develop. It's also changed how my team develops now. I've been able to get all of our team members switched over to CommandBox, and we're doing some really cool things with it. For those of you who don't know what CommandBox is a standalone native development tool for all three operating systems. All three operating systems. That includes Windows, Linux, and Mac, of course. And it provides you with a CLI for developing all types and classes of applications. It also has the ability to choose a la carte any embedded Cold Fusion server, and it's capable of running any of the Lucy instances or any of the Adobe Cold Fusion instances going backward to 9. And not only that, but you don't have to be a ColdBox person to be using CommandBox. CommandBox is a very, very flexible tool, and it also, for those who are using ColdBox, it seamlessly integrates with any of the other Ortus products. It's also very flexible, which allows it to be integrated with many other products. CommandBox needs Java in some form to run. This could be installed natively or in the same folder as the box.exe file, which I will show you in a moment. There's also a need to be able to install CommandBox as excuse me, as a Windows service. This. Install once and never worry about installing again. Securely share an application to non-tech folks that only have a Windows environment. And I'm sure many of you out there in the audience today deal with that situation. You maybe have a government client and all they deal with is Windows, and they don't know how to run code from the CLI, and you want them to be able to see what you guys are doing and be able to show off that application that you're building for them. Well, if you have it as a Windows service, you'll certainly be able to do that. You can also update the application with non-tech intervention, and you can easily have new releases going in this route. Now, just to tell you a little bit about me, that's my lovely wife and daughter there, and God, since the late 90s, and I have been involved in ColdBox for about six years now, and I've really come to adopt it as my framework of choice. And I love working in all of the new products that are coming out the pipe with that. That includes Elixir, Vue.js, Node, many other different products that ColdBox is being integrated with now, and I'm really happy to be a part of that. So let's deal with CommandBox as the Windows service. As you see in the cartoon there, it says, cloud computing is cool technology, but every time it rains, I lose my data. Well, that's something that we've all been had to deal with. The network is down. We can't access anything. Anything on the running over the network we can't use it unless it's some desktop application. Well, if you're using CommandBox as a Windows service and you have some type of embedded database, if you're using a database, you will no longer run into that problem. And what inspired me to do this was when I was at CF Objective in June, and I saw a guy who was running CommandBox externally as an exe file, but it wasn't as a Windows service, so you still had to double click it, and it opened up a CLI, and you know, I thought, well, it would really be nice if we could just get this behind the scenes and just have something on our desktop that we could just double click and it just opened and worked. So that's what I've been working on trying to do. But in order to achieve this, there's some things that you have to do. It's not heavy lifting, but if you've used CommandBox and you're a developer, you'll certainly be able to achieve this. The first thing you're going to need to do is download CommandBox. I suggest with the JRE, you don't have to have the JRE, but if you have the JRE, it makes it a little bit more portable, because as you move it from place to place, that JRE goes along with you. And if you're running it on a thumb drive, even more handy, because the person whose computer you put that thumb drive in doesn't need a JRE. And I used a language called Go to package, because I needed to do a wrapper where I could talk to that Windows service. And for those of you that aren't familiar, Go is a Google language, and we'll take a look at a little bit of that in a moment. And you know, I produce an executable from this Go language called CAWS, CommandBox as a Windows Service .exe. And if I need to send commands to the server, like stop and start commands, if I need to, sometimes you know, you'll have an extra server that you forgot or something like that. I can shut those down, and the way I'm accessing that is through all PowerShell commands. And for those of you that aren't using Visual Studio Code, huge shout out to that product, because it allows you to run PowerShell, and you know, you can, and through PowerShell you can access all of the CommandBox stuff, and you never leave your IDE. So it makes it really, really nice. And to package the service, I use something called NSSM, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. So let's look at some code. All right, what I'd like to do first is to walk you, this is my thumb drive here. I've created a folder on that thumb drive called Ortus Developer Week, CommandBox as a Windows Service. And inside of there, the first thing that needs to be done is the box file and the JRE are downloaded first. And we can see that if we come over here and scroll down, that's basically what's created first. But the most important thing here is creating this file here, because this is going to tell me where my CommandBox home is. And I discovered this early on in when I first started using CommandBox. So for those of you that don't know, what is CommandBox Home? CommandBox Home is inside of this folder here, and it creates the artifacts for all of your things that you need and other modules here. And having it on the thumb drive gives me portability. And my servers are stored over here. As you can see, I've got 2 servers stored in that folder. And let's take a quick peek at CommandBox.properties so you can actually see it. It's a very simple file. It's a very simple file. It's pointing to the I drive, which is the drive where my thumb drive is right now. And it's going to build, when I initialize that box file, when I double click it, it's going to open a CLI and it's going to build all of that folder structure that you were looking at in the home directory. So that's how everything gets started. Now, let's move over here to the next folder, which is a next important thing. This is where I have the executable that actually talks to CommandBox. And let's take a look at that code for a second. It's right here, main.go. And let me bring that down. Make it a little bigger if we can. Oops, too big. Okay. So basically what we have going on here is there's some imports being done. And here's the 2 most important things here. Because this is telling it's telling CommandBox where the path is for CommandBox and the configuration file. And we can take a look at those over here. The second. Okay. So that's the path where CommandBox is going to be stored. And here's my configuration file, which has a data source which I have pulled using cfconfig. And we can talk about cfconfig a little later in the presentation, but just in a nutshell, what this does is it's a module that runs inside of CommandBox. It allows me to pull all the settings from another server, or to build this stuff by hand if I need to, if I have some custom stuff, or edit a JSON file like this one if I need to make customizations to it. So that was what this is pointing to here. Now, if we go a little bit further up the tree, I have a server.json file down here, which I've configured, given it a name, having the browser open when I send a start command to it, not showing debugging, but if I needed debugging, I could change that to true, and I could get debugging off of it. And if I set it to console equals true, I'm going to see that debug information off of the console. Also over here, I've set the port. I've set it to localhost. I've set a heap size, and for a little bit of flexibility so I can point to different things, I'm having the browser open at localhost port 8080 and then go to this folder. So whatever I have in that folder, if it's Cold Fusion stuff or HTML. If it's on a default document, it'll get executed. And the engine here is Lucy 4.5, but I could change that engine to Adobe if I wanted. So great flexibility there. Now let's come back over here a little bit and let's talk about how we build the service, because that's the important part. What we do is we go to this site here, and it's got a weird name, but these guys have been around for a long time, and it works pretty good. But what we do is you download the latest release, which is this here, and I saved it inside of my. You can save it anywhere. Where you save it is not important. This is how you build your executable, your caws.exe. And what we do is we come over here to utilities and a utility and go inside that directory, and I use the 64-bit version. And you select it and you hold the shift key down and you right mouse click, and excuse me, and you can, let's see, where is mine? Yes, open command window here. So what it's going to do, now what you need to do is type the name of the executable, NSSM, install, and then the name of the executable. In our case, it would be CAWS, but you could build any type of executable here and have it be able to start as a Windows service. So we do that, and it's wants to run as administrator, because anytime you're running Windows services, those are run as an administrator. And you basically step through this, and you would go find the path of your CAWS executable, which would be over here. Let's see, let's get it. It's right there. And the argument you want to pass to it would be start. And you go on to the next. Well, we need to, no, that's good. And we come over here to details. Let's see, WS, and some description. And then this is the important part. You put your login information here, and you can decide whether or not you want it to be able to interact with the desktop, and you really need to create a user. What I found is with the running the local system account, it doesn't work as expected because you can't stop it. So for whatever reason that is. But if you create an account and you give it certain privileges for that Windows account, it does work. And you come over here, there are no dependencies, but if you had dependencies, you could add them. And here's the process, how many CPUs and so forth and so on. And here's the shutdown process, exit actions if you need to restart something. You could do that from there. Now the I/O directories, the ones you want to fill out are output, which I've already made the file here just for ease of use. But if you didn't have it, you could just put that there, and notice it puts the error there too, but you need to go back and change that. There's my error There it is. So you go back and change that, and we step through it some more. And you can do file rotation on those log files, which I'm just getting ready to create. You can say rotate the files, and I think if you, let's say you want anything older than 1 day, it's 86,400, I believe, in seconds. That equals 1 day, and it's 1 megabyte is like 10,000, I think, or 10,000 bytes, something like that. But anyway, you get the idea. And over here, you can have environment variables if you need them. Now, since I've already built this, I'm not going to go ahead and build another one, but I just wanted to step you guys through the process. And when you click Install Service, what's going to happen is over here in your Services pane, it's going to create, this is the last one I created. I turned this one off so I wouldn't have conflicts. But this is, and I named this one a little different because you can't have the same service with the same name. So I named it a little different, and as you can see there, it's shut off right now. And what I'm going to do is, so you can see how it starts up and everything, is I'm going to come over here to Visual Studio Code. And if you notice, I've got a terminal right here, which is great. And I've also added a module to this where I can run Git commands directly out of here from the command line using PowerShell. So in other words, if I did Git status, there you go. I have one file to commit there, and let's say git add. I'm gonna do a git add first. Okay, and then git commit minus m added. Go language file. All right, and git push. So that's right up on GitHub now for you guys. And so let's clear this out a little bit. And let's bring this up a little bit where we can see a little bit better. So this is the directory I'm in right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a start command on this because it's a little easier to work from the CLI than jumping back and forth to the services. So, but it's talking to the services. As you remember, the services was stopped before. So I'm going to run this command. And it's also getting the output from CommandBox, and it's getting ready to start here. And I don't have anything in there, but this is my directory. And if I come over here and look at the Windows services, refresh it, fine. Something happened, I don't know. Not sure what happened there, but didn't kick off. But I can show you over on another server a VM that I have where it does kick off the way it's expected to. I'm having some issues over here today with this, but it's working over on the other VM, and I can go to that now and we can take a look at it. Okay, I'm over here on my other VM. As we can see now, over here I named it CAWS, and I have a shortcut here to the server, and as you can see, that server's not running because the service is not running. Let's get it going, and I'm going to do it from PowerShell. That's a little easier. Okay, let's see. I've written some profile scripts over here through PowerShell. They do some cleanup and things like that. Starting _ CAW, and I'll show you guys those in a second. So this is the last message, and now it says it's starting there. And if you notice, since this is a VM, I don't have a thumb drive, but same principle. And as you can see, it started up. I'll just let it finish here a second, and I'll show you that profile script. And for those of you that don't know what a profile is, PowerShell has it's like a configuration file. Why is it not showing me that? Okay. Note. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I can also open it like this. And so basically what's going on here with this file is I'm importing a set of Windows functions that I'm using. I'm doing some logging. I'm just clearing the screen after that. That was the flash that you saw earlier. Now here I'm running a PowerShell command to start that or stop that service, and then followed by another command to clean up after it if there's any leftover PIDs hanging out, which I don't want. I run this process where I import a module and I kill those Java processes. Over here, it's pretty straightforward. I start the Windows service, and I come back and I make sure that it has started, and I log it. And over here, I can look at the status. So if I come over here and I run status _ cause, there it is. This is the status of that Windows service, and it tells me it's running. And if I wanted to check some stuff under the hood for Java, you can see how many Java instances I have running. And as you can see, I've got 3 of them running right there. And if I want to stop these, I would run, and these are all custom functions that I've written, PowerShell functions, which is all up on GitHub. Okay. And if we scroll back to see the status, stop to now. And if we come over here, not profile, but that one, nothing there. So cannot find a process with Java. So it's cleaned that up for me based on the IDs that belonged to CommandBox with those Java instances. So, and if we come over here, we should, yeah, it's going to fail. Because nothing's running. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart this service, go back over to my desktop, and then we'll check it just again to see if it's running. That way we know that it can run as a service. Now let me come back to where I was here with this. What I've done is I've documented pretty much all of this, but the end goal, I'm not done with this product yet. My end goal is to be able to get all this in one .exe and just double click it. It'll install the service. It'll install our everything for us. That's the end goal. But in the meantime, I wanted to share this with you guys and hopefully get some help with it, particularly from the standpoint of I want to be able to bring up multiple instances of this and still run it as a service and to use either IIS or Nginx as a proxy to proxy those over whatever port I determine that I want to proxy them over. So that's basically what I've been working on. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it can be something really good because, for example, if we're working on a project and we have 6 or 7 developers, all 6 or 7 of those developers can have an instance of what's going on a particular branch or whatever, and they can see commits. They can have real-time feedback. You can also even use some GitLab hooks or GitHub hooks or whatever Git repository you're using to listen for repository updates on particular branches, and it'll do a pull automatically. So that's pretty much what I'm working on here. Let's take a look and see if the server came back up. Okay. No. All right. Let's look on the XI server because that's where it is. Okay, I don't have an IP yet. if I open a console, it usually speeds it up a little bit. So I'll open this console, and that's going to help speed up the login process a little bit with this, this server here that we're waiting on. But I think that this process here is something that could be very valuable and very useful going forward once I perfect it into a completely packaged exe file. There we go. It's coming up now. I'll just enter it right from here. I'll log in right from here once this comes up. It should come up shortly. There we go. All right. And once this comes up, we'll look on our services console, and we'll also query it from PowerShell using the get service commandlet. Not sure why it's running so slow, but there we go. Now we have an IP. So it should be opening here shortly. There we go. But the interesting part about this is the fact that sometimes if you mix and match your start commands with a recipe command or something, you can accidentally spawn an extra instance which you did not want. Stop. I don't know. Sorry, guys. I don't know why it's taking so long for this to come up. Got a little bit more time. So once it fully loads, we'll be able to look at things again. But in the meantime, while I am looking here or waiting here, if we come over here, I just wanted to show you how you can add this to run Git inside of PowerShell while we're waiting. What you do is you type the $, anything with a $, in PowerShell is a variable, and that's telling me the path of my my profile. So what I would do is I'm going to grab this, excuse me, and come over here, Windows Z, and paste that. Oops, why didn't copy? I'll drill. That's okay, I know where it is. users, Murphy, documents, Windows PowerShell. Okay, so this is the Git module that you download from GitHub, and once you download this, you CD to this folder, and you instantiate this this install.ps1. But all the information is there. And it's pretty simple to execute, but it's nice to be able to have that directly inside of PowerShell if you're on Windows. And it also not only works but it also works on Connie Mute as well. Let's see, CD VP. There we go. See, it works any place there's a .git folder, it works. All right, let's see how this is doing. Okay, looks like that came up. Why can't I see that thing? Okay, it doesn't want to let me in there. Okay, let me just close it and I'll hit it from over here. All right, so this should come up much faster this time. All right. Let's bring this up. Come on. I don't know why everything's running so slow. This server was running pretty fast yesterday. My apologies for the slowness of this thing. All right, there we go. It's running. We come over here, double click this guy. Come on. I think something has started running again. Because I used to have SQL Server on this machine. It's going to come up. And I turned it off. Yep, I turned it off. Yep, it's turned off. I'm not quite sure why. It's always during demos that we have these. Let's see. It could still be starting very slow because the machine seems to be having some issues. So it could be that the site is not loaded up, but it said it was running. Yeah, there's something else going on. I'm not quite sure what it is, but wouldn't be a demo if this didn't happen. I was thinking about recording it, but maybe I should have, just to show you guys that it does actually work, and it does. This VM is having some issues, as you all can see. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and take any questions that you guys may have. Are you still there? Okay, let me. Okay, let me see here. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. It says your internet connection is unstable.
You have a quick question, George. I was curious if you would, what happened when you tried to point the NSSM directly at box start as opposed to going through the Go layer, having the Go executable between them?
I tried that, but unfortunately, I didn't have any way of passing what I needed to that. I did try that, and you know, but what I was thinking is maybe what I would love to do is to be able to figure out how I can have multiple Java instances running on here, which in theory you should be able to do. And I can take a look again at pointing directly from the NSSM to box.exe. I tried that, but it did not work. And I'm not quite sure why.
All right, cool. We can look at it. For anyone else who's listened to this session, we do have a ticket in for CommandBox to have the ability to create services on different operating systems. So it could be great, kind of, hopefully in the future, to be able to distill down what George has done and even incorporate that into CommandBox to a degree. So it's all pretty cool.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. I truly appreciate you taking the time to listen to this and see what I had, and I think it is something valuable for the future, the near future.
All right, Luis, are you around to stop your recording? Our next session will be an hour from now, and it will be Jean Clausen. See a fractal, marshal your business. That's our next session.
Cool. Yeah, that's CLI hung up, Brad. The PowerShell CLI over there on that VM, that was the problem.